Hey Phil, do you want me to send you the link to view it from YouTube so you can see inside the console, or you're okay with just?
Whatever works best for
Yeah,
you guys. I didn't know there was a distinction. I'm just
no, no,
looking
you
at
can't.
myself.
No, you have to stay on Zoom for the call, but then I can send you the other one where you can just mute your computer, or actually don't play any audio or lower the voice, so you can just see inside. When Brian comes up to speak or anybody speaks, you can see who's speaking.
Sure. And then just so that I'm not fumbling and bumbling, if anybody directs anything to me, do I do anything or just,
Yeah, yeah. Then you can
do
speak.
I
Yeah, I
just
mean, I don't know if Brian's gonna handle everything or it's gonna be shared between you and.
right? But what I meant is, will I be muted or do I mute and unmute myself?
Yeah, yeah, you can just mute. Yeah, when you speak, just unmute yourself. But like, just the YouTube video is
Okay.
more. You have to make sure that that is muted, so this way it doesn't create an echo. Let's leave it this way.
Okay, but I'd have to.
Yeah, yeah.
Do I mute myself now? Is what I'm asking, I guess.
No, no, you can stay if you
Just,
have no background noise. I don't see any background noise, so you can just stay and
no,
mute it.
no, no.
Yeah.
My apologies. I've
No, no, it's
never
okay.
done it with like a dual platform before.
Yeah, I just want to see if you want to see inside the council chamber versus just imagining.
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
I'm just not sure of the logistics. That's all.
Okay.
If it's fairly straightforward, I'm
No,
happy to see everybody. I just don't want to screw anything up from my end.
no worries. Did you use right now? Use your computer audio, or you actually dial from your phone?
I'm on my laptop audio.
Audio. Okay. All right. So maybe we don't want to create an issue then. All right. Let's leave it this way then.
Okay, got it. I guess quick question, Matt. Just now that I'm paranoid, because I won't be able to see people if there are any audio issues and I can't see whether somebody's talking or not. Just I guess do whatever to direct to me. I'll just try to intently watch and listen. But it's it's a little bit tougher to say, hey, I can see somebody's mouth moving but no words. But I'm just kind of like I said, looking at myself at this point.
Yeah, basically because you are using your computer audio to connect to Zoom. So if you actually play the YouTube video, it's gonna create an audio unless you actually can go in and mute the Internet Explorer. I mean, Edge or Chrome or Firefox, whatever you're using for the YouTube, the browser.
Uh,
I mean, we can just leave it like the way it is right now. You just have to like
yeah,
pretty much be
I'm
audio.
fine. I just
Yeah.
yeah. If there's any awkwardness, it's just if, like I said, if something would be directed to me that because I can't see and I can't hear, just I'll I'll just hopefully it won't be an issue. We'll just leave it
No,
at
no,
that.
you'll be able to hear all the audio, so you should be good.
Okay.
How are you? Good to see you.
Mr. Jeter, how we doing?
Yes. Yeah, because I didn't know. I thought there was nothing.
How are you?
At my age, it's good to be seen.
How about that?
We'll do that at the end of the meeting. Yeah, no problem. I remember that. Yeah. Because I love working. Call this committee session to order. We have a presentation by Comcast Cable. We'll talk to them. We'll let them make their presentation first. Mr. Brian Jeter is here to do that. Brian, so if you want to stand at the podium, and we're going to broadcast you live to the millions that are watching.
That's 13 people.
That's been about 50.
Yeah, I'm actually, I can't log into the Wi-Fi, so.
You get too young for that.
Oh, you're actually on Wi-Fi. Oh,
Well, who will do that?
open. Did you go to the guest one? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, to the guy.
We don't have Xfinity.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, open your browser and just try to go to any page. And you have to accept it. And then if you accept that,
Here it comes.
He'd rather go down to the place by
Stadium.
Yeah.
The Infinity. Yeah.
he's only 6 blocks away from me.
Wow. If you're 6 blocks away,
Trying to
I
connect
want to
with
go there too.
And on the rooftop, you can see right into Angel lives in Lawrence. He lives in Lawrence.
You don't want to watch no TV.
You know, it works all right.
Jennifer, how you doing?
There's no right here. You wanna-
Yesterday I had a meeting with Comcast and
Rodney?
oh no, that was Pennsylvania Water. Never mind. That was Pennsylvania Water. Oh. Yeah, I didn't get there.
Yeah,
I was
it
supposed
started
to.
at 4, right? I was going to go. I didn't.
I couldn't get there. I'm not under. I had budget work that I was working on. No, can't do it all. I try. Okay.
Mark, you got my pool email yesterday? It's all right, right?
Okay, Mr. Jeter, you're up.
Talking about number-wise.
You're not up.
I'm ready to go.
Oh, you're up?
Soon.
So you didn't look at it? Is it all right number-wise? I mean, like, just from your...
It's hard to tell without knowing what the mix is going to be, what the take rate
Well, what the
will be.
turnout's going to be,
Right,
right?
exactly.
That's not us.
Well, they're expanding to all the municipalities, so they're probably connecting lines.
Oh, okay.
I've talked to them about.
Up through the,
They're coming. Are they Shutter Bridge? No, they don't Shutter Bridge.
just outside,
Yeah.
Says it went through. Well, I don't want to delay as soon as you have the presentation. So thanks again, Mayor and City Council, members of the public and city staff. I'm Brian Jeter. I'm Director of Government Affairs and Community Impact and Regulatory Affairs for Comcast. I've been fortunate. I started when I was 14 and a half, so I've been there a long time, 25 plus years. And we're incredibly excited to be in front of all of you and to talk to you about our network expansion work here in the Valley.
You lost somebody already? You good.
Okay. Just a little bit about the company. If you're not aware, Comcast, and the presentation will be fired up by hopefully shortly. We're a Pennsylvania company. We were founded in 1963. We're headquartered in Philadelphia, so we consider the Commonwealth our hometown or our home state. We're the largest cable and broadband provider in the United States, over 24 million subscribers. For video customers, almost 26 million internet customers in 39 states and the District of Columbia. And I'll talk to you about in a second here just the breadth of the company. And then we'll talk about our network expansion plans and then the importance of a cable franchise agreement and why we're asking the city to adopt that later this month. So the breadth of the company, so Comcast is the parent company. The two brands that we'll launch here for residents and businesses, our residential brand is our Xfinity product. So when you see our ads and commercials, that Xfinity suite of services will be able to offer to your residents. And then Comcast Business is exactly what it says. It serves businesses from all sizes, your mom and pop barbershop, pizza salons, and certainly Fortune 110 companies that are located here in the city and the surrounding areas. There are other assets of the company that we think are important that we often try to leverage in the communities that we serve. We, in 2010, bought NBC Universal. So all of those assets under NBC, so all the programming under NBC, which you as a customer will have the benefit to that on our X1 platform, NBC News, NBC Sports. So if you are a Philadelphia sports fan, you'll see often coverage on NBC Sports for Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, and the Union. We also have two Spanish networks. Telemundo is our largest network across the country and really across the world. We will obviously have that programming here for those residents and a variety of other diversity-like programming. A couple of things to note. Other partners or other parts of the company, we are the owner of the Flyers. We have Comcast Spectacor as well in our portfolio. So a number of assets of the company, and we can leverage those assets here in the city and beyond. So we're really excited about that. From a product perspective, just our Xfinity products, we have 4 core products we'll offer residents once the network is built. Our powerful, secure Wi-Fi broadband network. So you have your wireless gateway that powers that network in your home, and a variety of different consumer protections that network has. On the entertainment side, for those who are as old as I am, we mean television service or cable service from the entertainment side of the house. We'll have our award-winning voice-activated remote. We stream services, so you'll have all the relevant apps across the board. And we just have a lot of product on the TV side of the house of the business. We also compete in the mobile space, so we'll be able to deliver Xfinity Mobile to your residents and to your business community off of our network. So it operates in 2 ways. It operates off of our Wi-Fi hotspots, which we'll deploy in and throughout the city. We'll work with the city to determine areas in the city that are more prevalent that need Wi-Fi capability versus other parts of the city. And then the backup part of that 5G network, and that network is growing, is we can offload network. So if you're not using an Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspot, you'll be on the Verizon network. So we have a long-standing partnership with Verizon for that. And then lastly, on our residential side is our home security product. So we have Xfinity Home, so those cameras, door cameras, and those products and services under protection solutions that we have. Comcast Business, again, leading network, the largest and the fastest and reliable network in the country that powers businesses. We also can offer our Comcast Business mobile service to businesses in the city. So we'll do that. We have advanced security, so that's a hot topic, certainly for businesses of all sizes. So be able to purchase that. And then a variety of different other portfolios. We have fiber services, e-services, just dependent on the need of the business community, and we think we can serve those. The next is our network expansion part of the project. So I just want to walk through with you. You all have a slightly updated version of the map that you looked at the prior council meeting. I think there should be some extras. If not, I can email everybody. So just talk big picture about the construction piece and our investment. So you're looking at, behind me, you're looking at, so our initial capital investment just to build the network. So that's all the fiber, all the coax, all the equipment, and feeding feeding the city is about a $15 million capital expenditure to build the network over a 4 or 5 year window. The total numbers of passings, what we call, so whether that's a residence or business that will pass, is slightly under 12,000. So that's about 11,000 residential customers and just under 1,100 commercial customers. The total amount of miles built is slightly under 80 miles of facility that we'll build in the city. About 12%, 10 miles
Question for you.
is underground.
Is that underground or is it above ground?
So about 12% of that, about 10 miles is underground facilities, primarily in 2 parts of the city, right where we're standing. So the downtown district and then your entertainment district. I'll talk about that in a second. And then about 70 miles, Councilman, of aerial facilities. So we will partner with and work very closely with MedEd and the pole owners in order to build the network. It is a large build. As you can see, 90% of the build is aerial. So MedEd, who we have a great relationship with already, will be an important partner in this process.
So, in this map, there's not a legend on it, but as I recall, seeing it last week or 2 weeks ago, the red indicated above ground.
Correct.
But you got red in the downtown.
We do. So there's, so red is aerial, green is underground plant, and then you see a section which we looked at over the last couple days that's more of a pink color. So that area is likely what we believe that the city, either the city can educate us and inform us, which would be great. We think that there's some conduit system based on some due diligence we've done over the last 8 or 10 days. So that could be concrete vaults. That is common in some cities in the Commonwealth. City of Philadelphia has that type of system. Parts of the city of Pittsburgh does, and places in between. So your larger metropolitan cities have concrete vault system. There could be other conduits in the city that are either owned by the city or owned by another entity. So they could be owned by the typically phone providers or the existing cable operators. And then you may have private easements, private conduit owners. So we just need to dig a little bit deeper as we get to know the city a little bit better. We usually have that conversation once the part of the process of that conversation would be post the cable franchise agreement being adopted. We would do what's called a pre-construction meeting. So that could be with Public Works, your code enforcement folks, your permitting teams, just to have a better understanding of a few things. One, road moratoriums, where we can and can't impact roads, and is there a schedule so we can reimagine the build. You know, that happens often, so we try to do everything we can to avoid disturbing a road that's under the moratorium, of course. And then some other particular details of what permits will be needed. They could be road opening, road occupancy, those types of permits. That gives us a better idea as we build the network, and then we have the opportunity to redesign the network, just conditionally dependent on what in your downtown, those 2 particular districts, what exists, what doesn't exist, and then how do we build it. So we would do that at what we call in our pre-construction meeting with the city. Just so everybody understands the expectations. We want to understand what your expectations are, what are, no pun intended, the rules of the road, and then how can we manage and build a network that benefits residents and businesses, but also abides by the rules that you have here in terms of permitting and otherwise. And I'll pause there.
Right, let me just interrupt you 1 second. I forgot to introduce, for those council members who don't know, Jennifer Band, she's a former state representative. Jennifer's here with Comcast representing them as well.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, that's why we let him in.
Because she was here.
She was here. So, when we're voting on, and this is probably your question to you, when we're voting on this, I mean, we're given a thing that says red in the downtown, which are we?
Well, there's also
I mean,
pink.
it seems to me like you should make it green because we have an ordinance saying everything has to be underground. So, you know, having red
Yeah, I understand the question. So couple things. One is traditionally when a cable system is built, you follow the existing utilities. Whether that's aerial or underground is almost 95% in my experience what we would do. So for example, I believe behind the building here, maybe in an alleyway, at least this is what I was told in the last 48 hours, there is a pole line of some sort. And if all the utilities are following that particular pole line, or in any circumstance in the city, we would almost, I don't know any exception that we would not follow the current utilities of where they exist.
Yeah, there's, we just talked about this today with the marquee. They're taking it from a pole at Fourth and Washington, and that's where it goes underground.
Ground,
So
sure.
at Fourth and Washington, it's gonna show an aerial, because that pole is aerial.
Yeah, and we saw that example, our construction folks yesterday provided a similar example. So we would just go down the riser, which is a device that's on the pole, and we would just go underground. But we have to obviously determine what's underground and what's available. But, in my experience in building networks, and particularly what we're doing here in other communities in the valley, traditionally, you always follow the existing utilities of where they are, unless there's some unique exception to that rule. If you identified streets and shared them with us of these are mandatory underground locations, then we can overlay that on our design and redesign the network. And now that would be contingent upon, is there access available under the sidewalk? Is it a concrete vault, or is it some other distribution system? Those are questions that we would have answered at a pre-construction meeting before we put any shovels in the ground or do any work. Yes, sir.
Brent, if you said it, I apologize for missing it. What's the hot pink?
Hot pink is what we just identified of, we need to know what underground
That's the
conduit system exists, right? So we already imagine that that's all underground.
Yep.
The pink just identifies, we haven't been able to determine,
Gotcha.
is it either or? Are they concrete vaults or some other conduit distribution network that the city either owns and maintains themselves, or another party, like I said, traditionally it's the phone provider or the existing cable operator that, or the electric company may also own that distribution, so.
I do appreciate your phrase, though, that you have to dig deeper when we're talking about underground utilities.
Yes. We'll dig as deep as we are allowed.
Brent,
Good call.
when we spoke 2 weeks ago, I asked
Yes, sir.
you, but because we're public now, the public's biggest concern is the price of who we currently have.
Sure.
Just seems to raise every few months, every year, and we're not getting much more for it. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have my notes on me, I apologize. Basic cable and internet with Comcast would be around the $100 mark.
I would say, there'll certainly be offers in the marketplace once we activate service. That's what we have seen in places like Coopersburg and Upper Saucon, where we've built the network and activated the network. You have seen a shift in the competitiveness of pricing, whether that's broadband, video, mobile service. You've seen bundles, you've seen contract, non-contract. You've seen that activity increase because there's a new entrant and there's new competition in the marketplace. We find ourselves to be incredibly competitive for the products that we offer. So we feel really comfortable coming in and being able to compete against the incumbents and to do that in a respectful manner, knowing they've been in the market for an extended period of time.
I hate to interrupt your presentation here, but my other question, and you had mentioned earlier that you're looking at maybe a 5-year build out.
Yes, sir.
Is there a certain progression that you're seeing as to services provided? I mean, are there going to be certain sections of the city get
Great question.
earlier opportunities? I'll say, and then it's going to be going out in in different directions or whatever.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we activate as we build. Our tendency is not to wait till the entire city is built, then to activate at one time. So we will approach the city both from a construction perspective, but that ties into how we activate the network. So it'll be a phased approach in the city. It is dependent on a couple of conditions. One is the pole permit process and how those permits come into us. We prioritize those based on the way we've designed the network, and we feel that the network needs to be built. So, we're not, we in no way, shape, or form are picking one neighborhood over another. It's just how the spoken wheel concept of building a world-class cable network and broadband network has to happen. So from where our hub site is, which is the quarterback of the network coming into the city, those neighborhoods that are closest to that hub, to that network operation center, would be the first to be built. But it also is dependent on that pole permit process is important, and gives us the ability to build the network, particularly because this is a 90% above ground build. It's an aerial build. So that'll be contingent upon what that schedule looks like. But we will activate as soon as we can. We'll activate pockets of the city to be able to advance.
And when we met, Brian,
our broadband network.
You said you were coming across the bridge.
We're coming from a couple of different angles. We are going to. There is a proposal for us to come across the bridge. We will come up from Freemansburg. That's where our hub is, and that building is completed and under internal testing right now. And then we may, come up from that Bethlehem Township side, sort of up from the Sawkins or Hellertown kind of area. That's under proposal right now. So there'll be a multi-pronged approach, minimally two, to serve the city and activate the network as quickly as we can.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just have two other quick points I think in the presentation. If we could skip the next slide. So we just want to highlight, because we think it's important to highlight what we do in the community, to support the community, to support the nonprofit and the anchor institutions here in the city. So we're open to those conversations. We generally focus a lot of our attention on digital skills and digital literacy. You're hearing a lot about that conversation because there are federal and state dollars that are being devoted from the Biden infrastructure plan, ARPA, and some other funding sources around increasing digital literacy in the communities that we serve. So you'll see us looking for opportunities to support in that aspect. But one thing on the slide behind me that I think would be of interest to not only to all of you, but certainly to your residents, our long-standing Internet Essentials program. So I think we're 12 years into the program. The program was designed to bridge the digital divide. Initially, the program provides a broadband, at-home broadband solution at a low cost. It was primarily used for those students and families that were on free and reduced lunch. We've now expanded that program, so anybody that's on any federal, state, or local public assistance program. So right now there's about 27 of those. It cross sections, students in school, low-income families, seniors, vets, disabled. So we're working with a wide audience of city residents. The key is the studies that we see and the connectivity to those types of audiences. Broadband in the home has an exponentially better opportunity for them for job skills, to do homework online. The studies speak for themselves. So as we activate the network, that Internet Essentials program will be available to city residents as long as they qualify accordingly. And we think that also separates us from our competitors, that I'm not aware that they have a program, A, as robust, or B, that type of offering to city residents. So we're excited about bringing that to the table as well. Again, that is part of one of our products. So as we activate sections of the city, that will be available immediately. And then we look to partner with either all of you, school district, other entities that we find the trusted community partners are the best voice, as you already know all too well. I talk about it all the time. So, if we have trusted voices at the table that, work here in the community and serve your residents, we find we get more folks to connect to the program. So we'll look forward to those opportunities, certainly as we're building the network, and we're open to any ideas and any suggestions that all of you have. And I'll pause there.
Dr. Ruggles.
Yes, sir.
Can you speak a little bit about your after installed service? I mean, are you going to have? It sounds like you have some footprint, at least over in Bethlehem Township or out in that direction. You know, how is it that people are going to be able to? Hey, I got a problem. How can I solve that?
Sure.
How does that work with you guys?
Yeah, there's a couple options. So we really encourage, we have a very robust, our Xfinity app. We want people to self-heal. You'll have a brand new network, state-of-the-art network. So we don't anticipate any problems, and we shouldn't. But there's always an issue here and there. So we want people to self-heal their issue. So I know I live in Bucks County. I have the app. I mean, I can see live if my devices are online or not. I can ping those devices from my Android or my iPhone. I can self-heal without having to call. Now, if a service call is needed, you could do all that through chat, through the app. You can schedule yourself, or you can have us automate schedule for you. You can opt in to be notified via text, email, phone call. So we have all of those options and then some available to residents. From an install perspective, two things will occur as part of the build. We'll build the network, right? And then you'll call us for service, and we want you to call us for service. And then we'll send a tech out. Right now, we'll dispatch techs from two locations, either Phillipsburg, New Jersey, and or Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Until, you know, more of our communities are activated, then we'll start to consider, you know, sites here in the valley and dispatching techs from that perspective. We also have the technology and the ability to have our techs and our maintenance techs remotely review the network. It doesn't matter where they are located. And then they also have the ability to do testing, almost like a self-heal to the network. So, you know, our advanced technology and the networks that we're building today, certainly vastly different than when they were built 25 and 30 years ago, let alone 5 years ago. So we feel we have enough resources to help our future customers, your residents, in addressing if an issue does occur.
So,
Right.
like, also, unfortunately, we have a lot of trees that come down, and you know, and obviously above ground systems are susceptible to that.
Sure.
Is that something that your techs address, or is that something that you address on a different level?
No, so, you know, so, I mean, quite candidly, myself and Janet will be the liaison. So if those issues come through, you let us know where the resident is, how we can reach the resident. We'll dispatch a tech to review. One of the things we do ask our municipal partners, if at all possible, a photo is instrumental, because then our techs can determine who it is, power, us, phone provider.
Right.
We all work really well together. My peers at Verizon and my peers, either at PICO or PP&L, and certainly at MedEd, we're able to escalate and understand, you know, what our networks look like, and when we have these issues arise, we can really identify and get it to the right folks more timely than any other way. The only time that we would not, you know, occasionally from time to time, you know, vegetation is typically the homeowner or property owner's responsibility. So we're not tree trimmers. We're not, you know,
Right.
experienced in doing that, or our techs are not. So we just caution everybody to understand that that's, you know, we'll do our best to identify and try to determine if it's the pole owner's responsibility. We'll coordinate with them. But I would say more often than not, or at least half of the time, it's some issue that the homeowner or property owner has that hasn't done proper vegetation. But, you know, we'll coordinate with the pole owners accordingly.
My concern would more, you know, we have a big storm and a tree falls down, takes out your line. Where does that support come from?
It'll come
Or
through me,
repair?
and
As
I,
techs or?
yeah, it'll come to me, and then I'll get the tech. We'll get
Okay.
the tech here. Yeah. We have an internal process that we follow. especially if there's an outage involved. They may dispatch a tech without me even knowing. If it's a widespread, certainly issue. Yes, sir.
And I'm sure you probably already heard this already. Lehigh Valley as a whole is a very sports-oriented, locally entity, and I know that with you coming in, how are you going to be with the local sports? Are you going to be engaging with the high school and the colleges as it is right now? Because I know that question is going to come up.
Yeah, sure. So NBC Sports today does cover college football and college sports. I mean, I've seen them carry Lafayette and Lehigh games in the past. Certainly, the Ivy League sports teams I've seen them do in the past. So, once we're activated and have customers, we'll engage them and let them know we're active here. High school sports, I think is, if I remember right, is carried on one of our competitor networks, local networks.
2 of them.
Yep. So that's a conversation that'll happen between our programming folks. Again, once we have the network more activated and ready to go. So that's more of a programming decision.
Okay.
We're not absent of understanding.
And I understand that.
Appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah.
I understand that, but I'm just putting it out there because I know it's going to come up.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for identifying that. Sure.
Any other questions from council? So your intent, as we talked, is to cover the entire city, not just pockets of the city.
Correct.
Your intent is a 5-year build out of the entire city.
Absolutely, man.
Because
Yes.
we have one group right now that's not, and it makes it difficult. And as a person who worked for developers in Palmer Township and Forks Township, my sister gets mad at me every time I have dinner at her house about the fact that she can't switch cable operators because we gave an exclusive. At that time, developers could get an exclusive. Will you be giving out exclusive contracts?
So in a
The only place I see that you could have an exclusive would be in the city, would be like our housing authority or something.
So you could have that opportunity, housing authorities. There are private developers. It is at their discretion. Unfortunately, the city doesn't have any authority over that. And Phil's on the call, I believe, so he can keep me honest. Phil
Right.
Freggett from the Cohen Law Group.
Cohen Law Firm.
So number one is cable franchises are non-exclusive, right? You have the ability to offer them, as you have for a number of years, to multiple providers if they want to make that capital investment to build the network. But when it gets to private, it could be an apartment complex, it could be the housing authority is a great example. They have the ability, because they are a private entity, to enter into an exclusive agreement, and there's reason that they do that. There's some benefit to the company that they're entering in with. That's not necessarily our intention. We want to compete in those arenas and those properties. And we certainly want to talk to the developers in the city too, as well, especially with all the great activity that you have happening in the city here. We want to be able to talk to them, because if they have trenches open and they have their buildings open, we want to be in active conversation with them so we can expedite our part of that.
On that one right now.
I'm sorry?
But Ed's working on the Marquee right now. They're bringing their electric from 4th and Washington all the way up 4th Street and down Ferry.
Yeah, so
They
we
expect
would.
a trenching over in the next 2 months.
And I can tell you the reason being that they've done it with the housing authorities. After working 26 years with that, it was a discount to the seniors on a cable. They got a discount to the cable, the whole facility, and the community room. There was a no charge.
Sure.
So there was a reason why we did it.
Yeah, I mean that, and thank you, Councilman. I mean, it's not uncommon, right? I think we can be very competitive in that space. We do serve a variety of housing authorities across the Commonwealth. In fact, the Philadelphia PHA, we took over that network. They actually owned their own network at one point for PHA. So we've been successful in that transition in the city of Philadelphia. So again, we just want the opportunity to compete in that space. And we welcome and are open to any opportunities with whether it's a developer, the housing authority, and those other entities, to at least have the conversation with them. But particularly now, as you just identified, if you know, if trenches are open and work's being done, it's in the next couple of months, you know, we want to have that conversation sooner than later if possible.
But thank you so much for bringing this to us, you know. I think,
And you can be happy that I won't be asking you anymore at the Pennsylvania Municipal League meetings.
That's correct. That is correct. Yep.
Every time.
Glad I'm seeing it in my time. I never,
I said we won't see it in my time, but we are. That's great.
it's coming.
Good news.
Yep.
I do remember coming out of that area you was talking about. I have spent some time in Richard Allen.
Oh, Richard Allen, sure. Yeah, sure.
No, yeah, I grew up back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
Any other questions for Mr. Jeter? Always called you Jeter.
So it's okay.
Okay.
It's all,
Oh, good.
it's all one and the same now. No relation.
Thank you so much.
No relation.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and have a great holiday.
All right.
Appreciate working with you.
Thank
Yep.
you. Now, the attorney is on from Cohen. Does anybody have any questions for him about the actual franchise agreement?
Not at this moment.
No, I guess there's no legal questions.
Didn't
Oh.
we have one that was the term on it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
the
about-
audio is real tough, guys. If somebody said something about the term, it's 10 years. I'm not, if it was something else, again, it's, I was hearing Brian real well, but some of the
Yep.
other folks. not.
We'll talk into the microphones and you'll hear very well.
I'm sorry.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
I didn't.
So the 10-year term on the
Well,
contract so far?
I thought it was a much longer term that was on the original contract.
No, 10 years.
10 years? Okay.
Yes, sir. And that's consistent with what if this was a Comcast renewal, it would be 10 and the other renewals that, you know, that we would be working regardless of cable operator. But the lone exception is Verizon. They, not that you have to worry about that, but, all their renewals across the country are 5 years. And everything that Brian said, you know, these are non-exclusive as a matter of federal law. So, you know, we wouldn't have provided the package to you good folks, you know, if we weren't comfortable with what we've seen. The good news is these things tend to move along more quickly in the context of, well, you know, the term of art in the industry is overbuild, but new entrant, just because, you know, it doesn't do Comcast any good or you folks any good to take any longer than need be. So but that doesn't mean we're compromising on anything of substance use. So again, we're you know, very pleased with how this turned out. But that said, if you have any questions, obviously all are fair game.
Sounds good. Brian or Dwayne, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Brian, this is Brian, Dwayne Tillman. He's the head of our code department, planning department. So you'll be talking to him, or your people will, not you. But and Mark Lizanecki is our director of finance.
He's the one with the zeros.
Yeah. Okay, there's no legal questions. We'll move on then. Appreciate Comcast coming into the valley and into the city of Easton especially. And at this time, the next item on the agenda is Chapter 285. Now, I went through Chapter 285 again today. It was part of my budget address. You know some of the increases, but let's go through it almost as a page turner. On the first page, we're just, one thing about Chapter 285 is that it lists all of our fees, and I don't think some of these fees have been reviewed since 285 was introduced back in 2009. So,
Wow.
So it's really been keeping up with inflation, and it's not been keeping up. So what I did was, like some of the things that cost us more than $5 per copy is $6 per copy on the first page. The second page, we put up nothing. We didn't touch them. We didn't touch the third page, the fourth page. Blasting permit, we put up to $400 because I don't know the last time we had a blasting permit.
It was probably Nescahoning,
Oh, yeah, they're on
for
the
Steve
hill.
Feist, yeah, right there on the hill.
Oh, yeah, on the hill, come off 611.
And the only thing I want to go into is the market. We have markets in 285-8. Per linear foot, we had it $10. I put it at 15. And you'll see that I also raised the temporary food services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a safe trip back home, Brian.
Sure.
So I raised that to $15 per foot. Everything else is going up. They're still getting, pretty reasonable. It's $100 a year for a 10-foot by 10-foot.
Sir.
On the next page, I have administrative charge is moved up for delinquency from $50 to $60.
Mayor, sorry, what page are you on? I'll bring it
Oh.
up here too.
285-11. That was the blasting permits.
I'll find it.
And then we go all the way to 285, it's still -11, or 285-12 noise chapter 376. Application zoning hearing board for variance. I put it up to $225. It's been the same. Dwayne, what are we paying for our solicitor and our stenographer? I mean, that alone, we were losing money at $200.
The stenographer, I think we only pay her unless we actually get a transcript from her.
Oh, okay.
I think it's only $30 a meeting. I think that's what it comes down to.
And
For the
single
stenographer.
family for a variance for a single family, single owner occupied, I had at $150. I'd like to propose it be at $100 or $50. I don't think we should be charging our people who just want to put up a fence or something like that, or a retaining wall, if they have to have zoning approval for a variance. I think we should make that like $50. That's letter B, 285-12, letter B. Single family owner occupied for a variance, $50 instead of $150.
No, that's under noise.
It's under noise, I don't know why, but it is.
285-12.
285-12, I'm sorry, it's under noise, chapter 376, I don't know why. And then parking permits, just so everybody understands, we put residential parking permits up to $125 in this budget, and we also put for people over 65 to $70 in this budget. And that's for the residential parking permits to park on the street.
Why don't we move it up to 150 for? I mean, our parking meters went from $1 to $1.50,
That's true.
and so that would be comparable.
Okay. Well, I'll take that as if anybody else has a disagreement on that, let me know.
That's good.
Mayor,
That hasn't gone up since 1987. If we counted for inflation, it'd be $225 a year.
Right.
So 150 seems reasonable.
I'm just going by what we did with the
Yeah.
parking meters.
That's true.
Mayor,
Yes.
is this a time to bring up my concern with the handicap parking or not now?
Well, we didn't get to that yet, but we will be
Okay.
soon.
All right.
Persons over 65 would then would go to what? $75? Half of, I think.
Yeah, I think that'd be fair.
Okay. And then
I-
Gold Pass is just to park anywhere downtown. We'll leave them the way they are.
Yeah, but that, again, that should be
Oh, yeah.
representative
Of
of,
what we raised the rates.
50%, so
So
that'd be,
185 and 90, 275,
yeah.
and 160. Okay?
Right.
And then South Fifth Street, that's a neighborhood, we don't charge. Courthouse, we don't charge. College Hill parking permits, we don't charge. And then we go into the peddling and soliciting license fee for peddlers. We hope we would make that $1,000 so we don't have any. But those that are there now don't get a license anyway. And then I put up the general contractor licenses and building licenses and plumbing licenses. Because again, these haven't been raised and haven't been even reviewed since long before 2008. So at least the last 20 years. On rooming houses, which we don't want, less than 10 units, we had at $35 per, and we're now raising it to 50. 10 to 24 units, we were at $60. It's now $100. And 20.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. Who's controlling this?
That's me.
Okay, if we could try to get in unison just a little bit, 'cause I'm
Yeah,
trying to listen, I'm following.
trying to find it as we go.
I can't keep up. I'm sorry. You're right now at rooming houses, right?
285-17 rooming houses.
Yep.
Okay. I'm there now. Okay, so 35
And
to 50.
I have all my changes in red.
Yep, I see it. Now.
Okay, and going down to, this is the big one, the food establishment permit. I really believe that we have to charge vendors who are at our festival so we recoup our cost. And right now, Joe Gill's out there every day, every festival, checking every inspecting every vendor. They're making, as some of them are making $100,000. God bless them. Some of them are making $20. So they're probably will probably get pushback from some of the special events coordinators that come in and say that they can't get any vendors because we raised the prices. Well, when they raised their prices to $8 for a drink and $10 for a drink, we could raise ours as well. So, food vendors, the food establishments, we want food establishments, so I didn't raise any of them. Food establishment less than 5,000 square feet is $300. Greater than 5,000 is $410. New food establishments, initial applications $215, and change of operator, just a change, it's to keep it a food store.
Sorry, Mayor.
285-18.
Okay.
You were there.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
you
were
passed
there.
it, you passed
Okay,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
And then the food vendors and catering service, you can see that. Here's the eating and drinking establishment. Eating and drinking with less than 75 seats, I put up by $25 because our restaurants are doing very well and they're raising their prices, and post-COVID has been really hard on them. So I wanted to take it easy, so I only raised it $25. But these haven't been raised since
Can you scroll down a little bit so I can see the top of that? No, the other way. Yeah. Should we put on there somewhere that this is an annual fee? I see annually on the license inspection of a facility,
Yeah.
but I don't see annually on anything else.
All right, well, we'll make that note.
Mayor, I'm sorry, Councilman Ruggles, are you finished?
Yeah.
On letter C, eating and drinking establishments, number 1, less than 75, you went up $25. More than 75, you only went up $15.
Well, it's trying to keep, I don't want to discourage restaurants from moving into the city. We have a very good restaurant scene.
No, I agree, but I mean, shouldn't, if the under 75 is at 25, maybe 75 or more could be at 35? I don't think it discourages them, but they have more seating, so a slightly higher fee, they're gonna make more money.
435?
I would
All right.
like to see it there.
I can make it 435 if there's no objection. Now, the next one is the big one, the temporary food facilities. The farmer's market, I put up their outdoors, $150. And very frankly, I don't even know if we're collecting that, because there's a lot of people down there that there's a knife sharpening guy, there's all kinds of people down there that Joe has to go down every Saturday and he inspects them every Saturday.
He wouldn't so much inspect whoever's
Knife
selling
shop.
knives. Yeah. Whatever food establishments are usually down there, that's who gets.
So I put
inspected.
them up from $150 to $175, and we provide 2 city workers on overtime every Saturday, from 9 to, well, they're there about 8 to 1, 8 to 2. And in the indoor market, $100 instead of $75.
I think these are really, really, really low. My opinion. I mean, this is an annual,
Right.
you know, and essentially what we're doing is we're supplying them. I mean, think about a business that is a restaurant and how much they're paying per square foot for that restaurant, and we're charging $175 for
The whole year.
hundreds of square feet annually. I mean, this is a very, very, very low number.
Well, and the good news is this was made into an ordinance so that it could be looked at any time during the year. And I would suggest that we have one committee meeting just looking at our fees again. That this is just for tonight for the budget, but I'm not saying that because I've not touched the building permit fees at all. I've not touched them at all, because I frankly didn't have the time today. The next one, at number 2, is the top of 285-18. The top of the next page is temporary food facilities. This is your special events, and they were $40 a day. I made them $75. It's my own opinion.
But Mayor, I think,
So for a 2-day event like Bacon Fest would be $150.
That's reasonable.
but like Bacon Fest and kind of what Roger or Councilman Ruggles just mentioned, and I know we spoke about it before, the events, GDP, everybody, it's great events, it's great for our city. But I can't I just have a problem taking
But I
the
guess
loss
what-
on it.
Oh, I agree, so do I, that's why I raised them.
So
Right.
what's that?
So but I mean,
What does
is
that
that raise enough?
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You feel-
For our big events, we need to do a better job of our overtime allocation as well.
Okay.
We don't need maybe as many police officers, we don't need as many public works officers, employees there at the time. Unfortunately, in the I don't know why we need fire, but we do, according to the contract, we have to put 4 additional firefighters on. 2 at the College Hill Station, 2 at the neighborhood station by contract. I don't know why. They can get around the city now and with all the construction, so what difference does it make? They know, we notify them, they're in the logistics meeting, so they know what streets are closed ahead of time. They know they can't go through the circle, so they go down and use the ring road. But I put it up to $75 a day. If you calculate that, it's $150 for a 2-day event. We don't have any 3-day events, so it would be $225. And I'm still at a loss. I don't know, we'll have to see how we do next year. Bacon Fest is obviously the biggest festival. And usually we break even on Bacon Fest.
Mayor, is
But
this,
you also have vendors who do $70,000 to $100,000 for that weekend.
is this 75 a day? Is it per establishment or per facility? If they have 2 tents, would that be 150?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I think this is enormously low.
I agree. I don't
I
disagree.
mean, to me, it's a fairness issue between I'll call it the permanent people downtown and these temporary people that are coming in. They're essentially getting free
Yeah,
space.
you're right.
I mean, $75 is, it's basically free space for them.
And I really believe that we should have a committee meeting just on 285 because it's voluminous.
I agree.
And they haven't really been looked at. I mean, when you want to look at, I think most of the building in downtown and in the city is completed, so maybe we can raise them a little bit. You will see something I did raise, the open space and recreation, but, trailer and camp fees, you can make them $1,000 a space. We don't have any of them. We don't have any room. If we had room, we would be putting something there. So I don't have any other changes on that page.
Beekeeping, I think, is important.
Beekeeping, yeah. We don't allow chickens, we allow bees.
Bees. Important pollinating.
Mark, I go all the way to 285-20.
Mayor, just for my own, you mentioned it. A lot of these fees haven't been raised in 20 years.
20 years,
Right.
yeah. Just 285-23. I just put in there the word additional. It says plus it does say per each. For each additional address, I put in additional to make it more grammatically correct. Then we go to 285-26, parking lot operators. I put it up from $25 to $100. They're selling their parking spaces at huge amounts. I mean, most of them are getting at least, well, when we put our fee for local in here to $20 for Bacon Fest, they put theirs to $30. $30 a car is a lot of money.
Mayor, did you skip over subdivision and land development, 285-24?
I didn't do any of that. I don't think I did.
think we had
$500.
It was Parks
Oh,
Playground
yeah.
B.
500, that's the one I wanted to talk about. The parks, playgrounds, and open space, we call it open space and recreation. I started in 2009 at $325 per bedroom or studio unit. I put it up to $500.
Mayor, is this an ordinance as well that can be reviewed at any time?
Anytime.
So, as you know, I spoke to you. I'm looking at bringing forward a developer fee. And since you already have that, it's kind of going to piggyback in that because I don't want to change that as I spoke to you about. So, would we end up adding it into that ordinance?
Right.
Okay. And we can do that.
All of our fees for the entire city are located right in this,
Right.
so that we only have to do one ordinance.
But we can, when I bring it next month, what have you, we could add it.
Add it. Oh, yeah.
We don't have to
always
wait
amend it.
for a year. Okay.
No, we don't have to wait for a year.
The thing is, though, when there's an annual fee,
Yeah.
once they pay the fee, they're
We're
good
good
for
for
the
next
year,
year,
right?
right. Right.
So parking lots over 12,000 square feet or less, I put it $100, and 12,000 to 18,000, wow, is $150, and over 18,000 square feet is $400.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Can we go back? Mayor, you are fast tonight.
I know.
You are.
I'm
you
trying
are
to,
quick.
I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep
You
up.
are moving tonight. Back to the recreation. That 500 goes to overall recreation or to park maintenance and
Goes to open space and recreation, so a lot of our recreation things are used in that money.
Right.
When we've done a lot of park upgrades, and we've done a lot of recreation, like our Lacanore and all the parks, Hackett's. Hackett's comes from the billboard. The billboard that we put up there, that comes from billboard.
So
But
it's more open
and
space,
that-
not pads and equipment things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Oh, it's that too.
that too.
Anything
Anything that can be considered recreation and or open space,
Okay.
So not,
gotcha.
not programming.
not
Not
programming.
program.
Yeah, programming goes into the 202 fund. This money goes into the 110 fund, which is the open space fund.
Give me an example of programming.
AAU
Programming,
basketball, girls basketball.
like hiring someone to do activities with children or adults.
Okay, but
Okay.
not football, soccer, baseball.
No.
Just-
It would be, we don't hire anyone for football,
They're all
but,
volunteer.
Okay,
yeah, but we would improve the fields.
right. So that would
Right.
go with the
We
field.
would buy a
Okay, gotcha.
bench, we would improve the fields.
That's why the
The
townships have
$30,000
the fields they have, is
Yeah.
because they have all of this money coming
But
in.
AAU or Val Wheeler last summer,
That
that
comes
would
out
be
of
for the other
202.
fund, 202.
202.
Okay.
Okay, so the next change would be, that I'm recommending, would be in 285-29, vehicles and traffic. And we did the one about, trailers and tractors. As a matter of fact, I just came across a couple that have to be checked. And down along Pfizer property, across the street from Pfizer, we talked about it last Tuesday at a meeting. There were 3 trailers and 2 tractor trailers parked there yesterday, over the weekend. We could have made $250, that's $750 plus $1,000. We could have made about $2,700 in fines. 285-29 parking violations, fees and penalties. We raised all them. You'll see that too close to corner, no parking, storage of vehicles. I should have marked the pages. What I should have done.
Mayor, where are we at on these fines compared to Bethlehem and Allentown? Do you know?
We're below. We've been below.
Okay.
I don't know where we're at now.
Especially now, it seems like everyone's raising everything.
We haven't touched these, so they're really low. 285-31, special exception of the same used address by the zoning hearing board as one hearing, 1 through 5 at specified rate, and 1 for each one beyond 5 at $200 each, instead of $150. And then there's one planning commission review of special exception, went from $100 to $150. I think that might be too much. Probably 125. Dwayne, you don't care. I think it should go to 125.
Yeah, I mean,
Could we base it on project?
Special exceptions?
so, I mean, a lot of, if you're just thinking about residential stuff, a lot of that is with fences, but that's gonna go away with the zoning amendments.
True.
So they won't have to come for a
They won't have
special
to come for a
exception.
special
Yeah.
exception. Okay.
Should
So we'll leave it at 150.
could we base it on amount of project? Like if you're doing a $100,000 project versus a $5,000 project, can we base the fees on?
I'll put down,
It's a
I
possibility.
mean, everyone doesn't show us their, we don't know. the
Yeah,
true
we
cost.
don't, yeah.
But I mean, I guess I'm saying if somebody's building a 4-unit and somebody wants to put a shed or a gazebo up, could the fees be different for when they come for that special
no,
exception?
the fees are commensurate with the cost of the hearing. And some of those small hearings are longer than
Yeah.
the
The
big
big-
hearings, because the small ones are impact the community, the neighborhood. So I would say that normally that would be good, but the bigger projects are paying more for building permits and for the open space recreation fee. So they're paying more already, but we'll just keep that at 150. Copy of zoning ordinance, I put up to $35 instead of 25 because we gotta print it out. Historic District Commission application, I put to $35 from $30. I don't think, most of our Historic District Commission applicants are really looking at the downtown neighborhood rather than the downtown business. So I don't wanna put it up too high. So I wanna keep it close, but I do wanna put it up just to keep up. And then city council appeal hearings, I put it $200 versus $175. If we have to have a hearing, we have to have a stenographer as well.
They got to pay for the script.
Yeah. Banners, I put up, they wanna put up a banner on South Third Street, it's gonna cost them $50 instead of $15. And that,
A banner across the top.
yeah, it costs us, we have three guys out there from the electric department, putting it up, using our equipment to put it up, and we take the liability of the anchoring to the buildings. We have an anchor in the Alpha building, and we have an anchor in the Wells Fargo building. And if they snap or something, we gotta repair it.
Seems kind of low for 3 guys, equipment, and the
It
liability.
is, but I only raised it, cause and I'll be honest with you, I don't think we charge it. I don't think it's even being charged.
So then we have more of a problem with oversight than we have on the fees.
We tell them to go buy go to W Graphics and have it made to our specs, because it has to have the win holes on it and stuff, and we'll put it up. And I don't think we've ever charged $10. So maybe at 15 we might charge them. And then now meter covers, we put up $20 per day instead of 15 because of for not more than 5 days unless exception granted. And the 2 down on South 3rd or North 3rd Street, they've been up for 5 months. So we gotta talk about that. 285-41 fire department, I raised those rates because everything else is going up and so are their salaries. And the price of equipment is going up. And then down at the bottom, 285-42 parking fees. I did include after hours is from 4 to 5 is the 50 cents per hour. Where did I put my lost ticket? We took care of that. Oh, 285-42A2. All downtown employees with proper paperwork that proves employment will park in any municipal garage for $25 per month and will be required to show proof of employment once a quarter. Once a quarter, not once a quarter. And that's the $20 per month. And that's the program we talked about, getting employees off the street. I mean, you and I had breakfast this morning at Billy's. We saw 3 servers parking on that street.
Right out front.
Right out front. Maybe for $20 a month, they'll move it to inside the garage right behind our building.
Mayor, it's not your intent to do, wait, it should be at your designated garages, correct?
Well, when they come, if I work,
Someone who gets this permit just can't jump from 3rd Street to 4th Street.
no, they have to, wherever they are.
Wherever they're assigned.
Wherever they're assigned or wherever they're getting a ticket. If I'm a new person that works at Billy's, I want it in a 3rd Street garage, I want it in a 4th Street garage.
Where was that?
So where it says we'll park in any municipal garage, on letter B under.
Oh,
2,
so
we have to change it
I have to change it.
to designated. It's number 2, Lewis, letter B.
I'm reading it, yeah.
He's the only one I know takes his glasses off to read.
The B or not the B?
All right. And then we go to the next page, for customers who have contracted for this is the volume discount. Louis, do you want to get rid of the volume discount today for next year?
Yes.
The what?
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we're going to cross letter H out.
Oh.
We were giving a volume discount. They're still taking up they're still taking up spaces in our garage, which will never make money. The space costs us more than we rent it for.
And Mayor, there's nobody grandfathered in that. That's just
That
everyone.
goes
Okay.
Right this
Just
January 1, it's no longer available.
We go back to 2B real quick.
The only thing is it does help for those landlords that pay for their entire building.
Mayor, I want to go back to 2B. When you say all employees with
Probably.
proper, like all employees.
Yeah.
Every single employee in downtown.
Yeah.
Will be able to.
Well, we can get them off the street. They're parking on the street now. Get them in the garage.
Do you mean all employees under a certain income level? Are you talking about?
No, all employees. Nobody downtown that works downtown is making a lot of money. I can assure you of that. Other except for Lafayette and for law firms.
We do have a list of we have fleets, and in those fleets, I mean, you do have individuals that make a higher income. I'm just before. I just want you to.
You're
think
talking
through-
about 2B?
Yeah, you're. It's all employees then. That would. I mean, we have during.
If I'm a good server and I'm working at Oak, I can make a $300 in one night.
Oh,
So, I want to remind you that it's during the day. At night, we our garages are fairly vacant. We have a high vacancy rate. During the day, we're like about 30 to 40% capacity. So it doesn't unless it's like a Saturday or Sunday where you have a show or you have a
Let me tell
an
you,
event.
you're not going to get number of employees here. You're offering an incentive to get the employees to park in a garage at a cheaper rate than they pay on the. We told them we were going to do that, and I don't want to go back on that. We told them because we put the meters up to $1.50 an hour. We said it's cheaper to park in a garage. We'll give you an employee discount rate.
Yeah, Mayor. No, listen, I'm not.
Now, if you
I'm
want to
not-
argue,
I'm not arguing with
no,
you at
no.
all.
If you want to put that up,
No, I'm not
instead of-
arguing.
If you want to put instead of
I don't wanna put it
$25,
up.
make it 40. I don't care.
This is not mine. I'm not putting it up. I'm just
You can put it to
I'm just
40.
looking at that language.
$10 a week is cheap.
I just want to try to make council aware that when you say all employees,
It's everybody.
it's you have individuals that are barely at minimum wage, and other individuals that are making over six figure. So it's all employees. Okay,
And
I mean,
maybe
you have to speak.
Before it was evening, now we're saying the employees can park there all day long every month and get a monthly ticket for $25. And I'm happy to go to $40. That's a 50% discount.
I mean, listening to Lewis's point of six figures for, I don't know how to differentiate between the two.
I mean, you're gonna have some individuals that are probably making a lot more.
Well, that's what I mean. But then you got people who are making,
Minimum wage, less
but
than minimum
25.
wage. Yeah.
We're taking a hit again.
right. Yeah, right. I was going to bring that up. Yeah, now so now we took away the fleets and
Yeah, you
we've
took away the fleet.
so now it's $70, but now if
You
they
get for
break up their
40,
fleets and they pay on their own, it's $25.
I'm just the only reason why, and I'm harping on this, is because it's a major. These slight changes is a major change to our budget. We would have to go back. This is a big change to the budget, so we would have to go back and take a look at the impact.
Okay.
And the impact
Do
is
that
if we.
tomorrow and make our presentation to council just on parking fees tomorrow night.
Yeah, so we have dailies. Let's just pull it up just for an example. Can you pull it up, Mark, the budget? Pull up the budget, the parking, under the parking department, and we'll go to monthlies, just to give you an example. And what we budgeted for monthlies. I understand what you're trying to do, Mayor. We just have to think through it.
It's
That's all.
getting harder and harder to park on the city streets, and your city streets your street parking should really be for only for
Highlight that.
customers. Whether
Highlight
for
one of the
restaurants or stores, it should be for the customers, not for the workers.
Highlight it with the yellow. All right, so there's the monthly parking. Monthly parking, we're budgeting about $350,000 next year. So, monthly parking is probably a blended average, because we have discounts right now, probably around $55, $60 a month, maybe, all right? Just rough math. So what this language in 285 was at 285, in that 285 language, drops it down to 25, so that's about a 50%, could be a 50% hit on that rough numbers, just rough numbers. Yeah, just real rough numbers.
Well, I'd be more than happy to go to $40. I want to give them an incentive to get off the street.
On the flip side, I guess we're getting rid of, you're getting rid of the,
Well, the fleet discount was more than $40.
yeah, okay.
So it's going to be
And recognize most of these people who do park on the street have the,
Municipal.
well,
Pass.
they don't necessarily feed the meter all the time. That's what I'm saying. You know, they know the routine of enforcement, and so sometimes it's blinking red and sometimes it's blinking green. You know, so getting them off the street allows somebody to come in that is going to feed the meter. You know, so.
Oh, you can't see that. I understand. I'm just bringing I'm letting council be, I want council to be aware of these numbers. That's
I
all.
like the idea of you guys going over it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll go over it
present
tomorrow and make,
night.
just on parking fees.
Okay.
Okay.
The other thing on that is there a reason that it's proof is quarterly?
Just make it easier on the staff.
Well, I would think that, you know, I would say biannually is better because, you know, we're gonna have to have somebody in City Hall that confirms that this is, that they're doing it quarterly, and so.
I was gonna say,
You're looking at him. He's in the back.
if you have somebody, the way servers move around, they only work some places a month or two.
I think what you said, Mayor, maybe
We'll look at it.
we look at it right. Because what you're trying to do is help those low-wage earners and those businesses, because in those businesses that depend on that wage earner,
I'm
to
gonna
get it-
tell
to
you
get it-
that
to get a
those
good-
people making $2.85 an hour or $3.45 an hour are parking on the street feeding the meters.
Yep.
And they feed it until they see the parking enforcement officer, and they don't feed it for 2 hours because they know it's going to take them 2 hours to come back. They know his schedule better than we do.
Yeah,
no, I listen.
better than he does.
I agree.
Probably.
But is it a matter of education too, and working with these a lot of these businesses? Because when I dealt with several of these businesses, point blank, and I dealt with an individual who had close to $700 in parking tickets, and I don't know, Mazen, if you were involved. I think you were involved in that. We had to bring the chief because it had to go to the chief. It was just absurd that why this young lady. I mean, she could have easily parked in the garage at $70 a month and not even incur those $700 fees.
I know.
She got herself in a really big bind.
I know. That's why we set up the payment plan.
And by the way, her
that went away.
business where she was working at was about a block away from here,
I know.
which is it's just absurd.
We don't have a parking problem. We have a walking problem.
Okay.
And people will park on the street before they park in the garage. It's that simple because it's convenient. Just look at the 3 servers at Billy's this morning. They went out and pumped the meters
All right. Well, this is
Right.
council.
right in front of us.
This is
front
council.
of the-
I'm only bringing up what
No, you're right.
potentially
We'll look at it
could be
tomorrow.
an issue. That's all.
Okay, now 285-45 sports registration fees are at $40. I put them up to $45. We're still half of what they charge out in the townships.
And we do, we subsidize for kids that.
Oh yeah, we do scholarships.
Yes, that's.
And on the next page, 285-46 is for the bandwagon. That's completely crossed out. We don't rent our our new stage out. That was for the old bandwagon. It was 60-some years old. This one, first of all, it takes 2 or 3 people just to set it up, and they're not going to pay us for that. So that's going. So the stages that we will rent, I put them up from $25 to $100 each, because frankly, I don't want to rent them. We're not in the rental business.
What do the stages rent for, what's that, a day?
They're
They're portables.
They're portable.
For a day, $100?
$100, whatever it is. Yeah, $100 a day.
Want to use the neighborhood center?
Yeah. I mean, for the day is the fee.
I'll add that tomorrow. Amphitheater rental is up to $150, and it was $50. And we get a lot of requests from people. And we just told the gentleman who was a DJ who wanted to come down and play music. No, that's not a festival. That's not a special event. That's just playing music and getting your name out there. So if you want to get your name out there, it's going to cost you $150.
Mayor, do we have anything for local nonprofits? I know the school district's driving me nuts how they charge nonprofits from the community to use their facilities. If a nonprofit community center wanted to do something at the amphitheater, would we have?
I would waive the fees.
We do.
We waive the fees.
Yeah.
I
for
mean,
that.
we had our
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Easter sunrise service.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't charge for things like that.
No charge.
It's,
yeah.
So it's up to
no, wait,
discretion.
let
We
me
don't have
just
to put
say
it
that
in.
the person in charge comes and gets the ticket, the key to the restrooms. They open them and they unlock them and they lock them. If we don't have to bring anybody out, it's there to use.
I got it.
It's the
No, that's
person we're
perfect.
trying to do is trying to recoup what it costs us to. If Palmer Days wants to rent our band stage,
Right.
it would cost him what did we pay for Phil? Like $2,700?
At least
Yeah.
sometimes more than that.
$2,700, and they're not going to pay. Why should I pay the city $2,700? Oh, well, you would pay city entertainment that.
Yeah.
And
I know I'm dealing with, we've been talking about the school district. We waived it when I was president, but not anymore. So if the community center or AAU wants to use their gym, you got to pay for custodians, you got to pay for security.
That's
you
why we're
gotta
building a
pay
community
for
center.
open it.
And it doesn't make sense to me because
You're
it's
paying-
taxpayers' money.
Right.
It's double dipping.
You're
Sorry.
paying tons of dollars.
when I went to Lehigh, that community college on the south of Bethlehem, we had one whole course that was dedicated to physical facilities, and it was about community schools. That why should Palmer, Forks, and Easton build a community center when you have all these schools that are empty at night?
You're paying for it.
You're paying
And on the
already. You're
weekends.
double charging the taxpayer.
Always had a problem.
It was
with that.
called community schools, and Paxos is known as a community school, but
So
they
is
don't.
Cheston.
Does
Yeah, so
that-
is Cheston, but they don't open them.
That's what we really pushed the community school when we.
And I don't mind paying them for their custodial overtime. I don't mind paying for that. I understand because we have the same problem here.
Well, if you do it on the weekends or after hours, but they
Rentals or the amphitheater is $50 at the bottom, so that has to be changed. I thought it was 150.
It looks like
Amphitheater at the top the sound system's 150 if they want to use the sound system because that requires guys to come out. Pavilions, city-sponsored recreation program participants is free with reservation.
letter A, city residents is 100. Non-city residents looks to be 50.
No, 250.
250.
It's supposed to be, it says 24.
It was 150.
Oh, there it is.
Now it looks like 2450. Yeah, okay.
The four's crossed out.
Gotcha. So
It's 250.
It was one's crossed out. One,
Gotcha.
150.
Gotcha.
And that frankly, that's because we had one lady from Williams Township that really drove us crazy about wanting the grass cut and everything. Whoa, lady, you're renting a pavilion. That's all you're renting. You're not renting the park. That was down Humor Park, which is always maintained anyway.
Can we legally charge an alcohol permit?
We do.
Always
Or is that a
We always have.
state realm?
I guess until somebody sues us or something.
Good question for Joel.
Here's a perfect example. Lock Tender's house. That house out there they rent for $500 a month. It's the best deal in town.
What do they do?
He lives there.
And they don't pay it. They work it off.
What do they do?
They work around. They work. They run
Yeah, the mules.
the
Oh yeah. We have the guy from the highway crew or whatever that lived there,
Yeah, he was living there. Yeah,
and he was only paying.
$500 a month.
Look at Dale in the woods.
I didn't know that.
So now I raised it to $750, which
I
is
wouldn't
still
live down
cheap. $750.
Yeah,
Um,
I wouldn't live down there.
No way. Sorry.
This is narrow to get there.
security deposits, and then the next page,
Might
280.
lower that.
I lowered it.
Yeah, pavilions from
Security
100 to
deposit
50.
down to 50.
Oh, should be
From
150.
100?
Should be 150. And then 285-5648, 285-48 is solid waste collectors. I just put them up a little bit. Per company to $100 and per vehicle $25. Tax liens I raised $10 to $35 from $25. And then
And we really need to have, I think, on all those, the period over which it
okay,
goes. I mean, is that $100
Per year?
everything's
a
per
year
year
or a month or a?
I'll add that per year. And then tax lien per certificate. Tax lien was going from $25 to $35 because when it was $25, our people were making about $16,000 a year. Clean and lean is the next one, Water sewer call outs, $100, that has to go up. At least to 125.
All right, clean and lean, cost of cutting.
Cleaning, cost of cutting plus the actual cost plus administration fee. The administration fee is 25% of the cost. Code inspection charge to come back and inspect it is $100. And then compact disc fees, boy, is that, you can see how old these are.
Mayor, one quick
They
question.
just send them electronically now, so I added that.
One quick question about clean and lean. Maybe Dwayne can help.
Mm-hmm.
When we have a property that we clean and lean, do you put that on a schedule, or does it wait till they complain? The neighbors complain again.
Typically, they're the ones that we're dealing with already, and we go out every 2 weeks
Okay.
to try to assess where it's at, if the grass needs to be cut.
Gotcha.
If it is, then we go out, we have our third-party agency go out and cut it, then we go back out and re-inspect. And I asked Julie, all those fees do get attached to the lien that go
Okay.
to the property.
And then we have, like for grass cutting, we have one provider.
Yes.
Do we go out every year and bid that? Put it out for bid?
I think it has one more year, but I think it's only a two-year
Okay.
bid or a 3-year bid. I can't
And then
remember.
you go out to bid again?
Yep, yep.
So on
Yeah,
the
for that
clean and
maintenance
lean, we have $100 for code inspection charge.
Mhm.
Is that reasonable? I mean, is that about what your costs are, or?
Yeah, I
it
mean,
seems like you're going to be out there a little bit longer than. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it could be bumped up. It all depends, how, if you're already out on an inspection and they say, hey, you're in the area already, just stop by, grab a picture to make sure it was cut.
right?
It's not too much of an
But
investigation
you
if it's
include
cut
the
already.
inspection fee in the 25%. As you add that on, I assumed you added it on. I assumed you did
It's a
the
dis-
third-party contractor X amount, the inspection $100, 25% administrative fee, and that's the total due.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yes,
then-
yep.
So they're really getting
Then it's-
125.
That's how it reads, yeah.
That's the way I read it. Okay. Next page, compact discs. Geographic information is $50 per CD instead of 40. Comprehensive plan, I put up the $5 because those that want it should have it.
We're also going to have to maybe in that area, and we can maybe talk about that when we talk about fees. But we may in the future start to get requests for LiDAR.
Oh, yeah.
And so we may have to put a LiDAR line, if you will, in there
Okay.
for that.
All right. And then the next one, I'll let Mr. Pittibone speak, but pool fees.
Yeah, I can't see what I sent you, Liz. It's a
You
lot
sent me-
different here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought I sent it better to you, I'm trying to look at it. So seniors for city residents, as I mentioned before, yeah, the way I sent it to you, I didn't know it came out like that, I can't read it. I wanted to go to zero. As we mentioned, myself and Crystal, and we brought it to the mayor, we've been going through the pool. We're easily losing $100,000 a year on pools, and we have about 1.5 million in repairs coming up. I don't know how we can take it to zero. So, I kept our seniors, I believe the same, or no, I dropped seniors $10 to 25. It's in the email. And Lewis, I know you're away, so we didn't update it. So I dropped seniors, but then I increased it on the non-residents. So overall, I think we're
It equals
netting
out.
like 70% positive increase. But I do think we need to form a committee and look at our pools.
We can do that. I have, right now, I have the family going at $99, staying at $99 because we're not getting that many family passes to join.
There it is. I dropped the family to 95, and then I took the non-resident family to 225.
I take it to 250.
250 is fine.
I don't, I could say this right now. I don't really care if people from outside the city come into the city, but if they're going to come, they're going to pay.
I agree.
And if we lose $100,000 a year in pools, they should pay towards that. And so I raised it to 250,
No, I'm fine with that. And then individual, I went to 160.
and I went to
Add over.
150.
And then youth, I kept 40 local, and I went to 140
I went to
non-resident.
125.
Senior went down to 25 from 35, and then I went to 115 on the non-city residents.
Okay, I tried to. I mean, I don't know how many seniors we're gonna get from the townships anyway, but And then after May
Residents
first, I
after May.
just kept it the same with what it was.
Family 125,
I put seniors up, family non-residents up to 275.
I got that one, adult underneath non-residents, I went to 175.
No, you went to 250 on the, family
Oh,
after May
I
1st.
can't read this, I'm sorry.
Well, you should go back to school then if you can't read. Oh, that.
I don't know why it came out this way. I'm sorry.
Because it's a,
So-
it's a
It's a
phone.
Word document, well,
You transcribed it for a laptop or a computer, not for a phone.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why they're asking, that's why they redo you gotta ask if your website is good for computer and a phone or just a computer, because the phone is reformatted differently.
so before May 1st, seniors, I dropped to 25, after I put the 35 on the city residents.
City residents, you put it what?
35 after May 1st,
For what?
seniors.
Oh, seniors, 35.
Because
I've-
before May, I dropped to 25. So it's a $10 difference.
And what do you have for seniors, non-residents,
Um,
after May 1st? It was 85.
I think it's like 100.
Well, it can't be, because you're before
I don't
May.
know. I don't know.
Before May
I
1st
can't-
was
I can't.
115.
I don't know if any. Lewis,
So it has to be 125.
Lewis, can you pull it up on your laptop?
125.
So you said, wait, are you talking about before or after May 1st?
After May 1st.
Okay, after May 1st, you're proposing seniors to pay,
So you're looking at the cell phone too. I wish you used your laptop. I sent it to you, Mark, and Sal.
no, you did. Hold on a second. Yeah, you're right. There,
Mark,
Mark,
turn it sideways again.
Okay, because I scattered. I can't catch it. It's not
before
turning
May,
for me.
after May 1st. Well, I don't, okay, so current is 45, you're proposing 0.
Yeah,
Right, but then I changed it. If you look at the additional email, after talking to the mayor,
Okay, and that was your second
email.
email. Okay, so, all right, so let me go to that. So after May, you're proposing a $5 decrease
Right.
for seniors.
And
Yeah,
what
but
about
it
the
can't be a
non-city?
decrease. After,
No, because city residents decreased. Well, so then after May wouldn't decrease, it would go up. It's 25 and 35.
Yeah, and same thing for before May, it was a $5 decrease.
okay.
So and then you were proposing a.
Why would we not want people to get it before May 1st so we know how many people are using the pool? I mean, I thought after May 1st was supposed to be higher, not lower.
It is,
It is?
yes.
It is.
Well,
Before May 1st is 25, after May 1st is 35 for not for residents. 115, 125, right? That we're at?
Yeah, so they're higher.
Okay, so they are higher. Well,
What- what I'm seeing here on this screen, for non-residents,
Right.
okay, is for family, we bump up $25 for after May 1st. But then for adult and youth and senior on this screen, they're still the same. And so we're not giving any incentive.
150
No, they're
for 125 went to 150, 100 went
Yeah,
to
but you're going to 150 here.
Oh, yeah.
And this is 125 and this
Yeah.
is 125.
That's why-
They're the
okay,
same.
so
I mean, there's
one-
no incentive to
75
buy it
and
before May 1st.
150. Yeah.
You're right. I can't
Yeah.
see it. If
Yeah.
I don't have the computer.
Yeah,
I can't,
I'll change that also.
I can't read.
And then the only other change to 285 is on the last page, we raised the 3% for using your credit card.
And let me just throw my 2 cents in as far as the pools are concerned, okay? Louis, don't listen to this.
I don't have an opinion.
I-
I'll give you the number.
I don't have a problem with us losing money on pools. This is an area where we can, document, okay, we're getting this much money in and so forth. Look at our recreation program. We maintain the fields. We do all of the stuff on all of the fields, and we don't keep track of how much that costs us. That's going to cost us a lot more
No, 100,000.
than any revenue that we get from the athletics that are occurring on those fields. So as far as recreation is concerned, to me, that's going to be a losing money proposition. So us talking about, oh, we're losing money on the pools, we're not going to break even on the pool.
Never.
And I mean, I think every municipality should recognize
But
that.
Forks isn't built, that's why they're not building one in
Right,
Forks.
and I mean, that's why Wilson doesn't have a pool. That's, Alpha, that they were talking about getting rid of their pool. I don't know if they ended up doing it or not, but I mean, it was with the concept in their brain of saying, we're losing money on these pools, and it's the only reason they could say that is because they knew how much they were charging getting in, How much do we charge for football?
Baseball, but nothing.
Free. And then how much do we spend on cutting the grass and lining the fields and, all of that, we're losing money,
When we talk about $100,000 a year, I don't know how anybody could run a business losing $100,000 a year. And if you look at other municipalities, bigger than us, same size, one pool, some have none. We have two. 4.8 square miles, we have two. And not only am I looking at the yearly loss, we're looking at about $1.5 million in the next couple of years on both pools. The majority of our residents complain, whether they're on Southside, West Ward, College Hill, they're complaining about the odd even days. I don't know what the answer is. Does it work? Does it make sense to, I talked to Dave one day at lunch just spitballing, maybe we turn down Eddie's side into like a sprinkler park playground destination area, and you put the money into Heil, and if we open every day and bring all the money into Heil, we're not going to lose $100,000 a year. But we're operating two pools part-time, and with the fees, and the pools are so old and need so much work, it's throwing good money after bad. It doesn't make sense with 4.8 square miles.
I agree with you.
The 4.8 square miles is, I agree with you too. I'm sorry, Ken, but you got to remember that we have 7 hills. We're like the city of Rome. We're built on 7 hills. So if I live on South Side, to walk to Eddie's side is easy going down, but coming back, I got to walk back up South Side Hill.
That's why nobody does it.
And
Right.
the other thing we have to take into consideration too, if we do this, we really got to engage the community.
Absolutely.
Because it was
you
a fight.
It wasn't.
It was a fight.
And that's why I say we need to engage the community. This summer alone, I must have gotten 15, 20 calls from residents that were upset. That's not including social media. That's personal calls and emails. Right now, when I look at the budget, and I went through every piece of the budget, Louis, Sal, Italia, Crystal, we went through everything. And I will applaud the city of Easton. We are lean. We are super lean.
Don't meet on it.
No meat, right? Where everybody else is a little fat you can cut every year. There's no fat. With $100,000 loss of losing, something
But
happens.
we're losing $100,000 on football. We're losing $100,000 on other recreation activities.
Baseball.
But you don't-
We
you don't-
just
we
can't
don't see that.
quantify it.
But
Yeah,
now
exactly.
so now, to your point, then we're losing $300,000 a year. I would say baseball, football, soccer we have Heil Field, right? We have Heil Field, and then we have
Hackett
Hackett
Field.
But the majority of our field is Heil. We don't have 2 football fields. We have 1. I don't know if we need 2 pools. And again, I say it's talking to the public, engaging the public, looking at numbers.
Well, I think we can have a lot of discussion on this, but the same thing's true with fire stations. We got 3 fire stations. We don't need 3 fire stations.
I mean,
But
if that's the
which
case,
one do you close?
then do a study on it, and let's have.
Well, the
3
study's
did.
being done.
Well, we are right.
We're going to be doing a study on it, and what comes back is the same problem you're going to have as Mr. Brown just said. We have the early intervention plan. I can give it to you if you want it, but the early intervention plan said we should close both neighborhood fire stations.
Yep.
And city council and the mayor agreed, no, we're not going to even bring that up. Because you don't know, you don't live here, you don't know about the floods down on the Bushkill and on the Lehigh. You can't get there. You'd have to go all the way out to 25th Street, across the Glendon Bridge to get to the south side. And so we didn't do it. But when you look at the city, when you try to look at it from a 35,000-foot level, why would you need 2 pools? Well, when I was a kid, we walked. So we walked we played basketball at Easton Junior High School. at 12th and Northampton. And we walked every Saturday morning. We walk over, we walk back.
Absolutely.
Kids don't walk today.
No more.
We had 12 teams. We have one now. We had 12 Little League
And
teams. Now we have
sponsored.
one.
And
And sponsors.
But I mean, I guess when I look, and again, I'm not saying close the pool. I'm saying we need to take a hard look. Our pools aren't even utilized full time.
We had a proposal to turn Eddyside into a swim club, which would cost about $700 a year to belong to. It's not going to work.
No.
We don't have that kind of clientele. Now, you want to sell it to Forks Township, they might be able to sell passes at $700 a year.
And
Because that's how Stone's Crossing started. Stone's Crossing is still a swim club. It's not a swimming pool. It's a swim club.
when I talk about, Cheston or Heil being open, again, I'm just spitballing. I have no numbers, nothing to base that on. I just
He
use
must
Heil.
have thrown a lot of spitballs when he was in his school.
I did. But Heil's bigger, so that's why I consider Heil. We can fit all of our residents that use the pools and non-residents every day, 6-7 days a week at Heil, maximum capacity, and not lose $100,000 a year. When we talk about sports, it just
So what would
Wait, I don't think that you can say that because we've not looked at that.
that's why I just said I
The
don't have
major
any numbers.
portion of the the expenses in the summertime are on jobs, and when we go one pool to the other,
We're gonna have the same
and we
number of
go
people.
and then we go to one, and it's open all the time. You still got the same number of people working, and that's the major expense.
But you have people that won't get memberships or won't come to our pools. If you look at the numbers, we're down since before COVID, and we haven't come back because we're people are odd evens. So many people complain they don't want to deal with it. They're on Facebook. It's Wednesday. What place are we at? What pool are we at? It's not really convenient. People aren't spending their money on it.
It's even days are at Eddyside, odd days are at Heil. It's so
That's
easy.
good.
Eddyside. It's
Yeah.
easy.
But
You're never going to win the battle.
you won't.
You're never going to win that battle.
But we don't know where the battle is.
The battle comes out from years and years of people getting conditioned.
The battle comes out because Easton is not one city, one community, as Mr. Brown likes to say, and it is true. The battle becomes people from Westward live in the Westward. They don't live in Easton.
Right.
People in Southside live in Southeaston, not Easton. And people in College Hill live in College Hill. They don't live in Easton. And it's only the people downtown that say they live in Easton. And they're right. But we used to have a great rivalry, and this is where recreation comes in. And I get really upset because I don't know what to do to encourage more kids to play sports. But when I was young, and we were from Southside, went over to Westward and College Hill, you felt like you were part of the city because you went there and played teams from Westward, teams from College Hill, and you walked.
Yeah.
I walked to March School, I don't know how many times. Whenever I played the PAL, they were from March. They were up at March. Their home field court was at March. And Moose was at Easton Junior High, and Fleas was, and
Optimist was
Castell was,
Southside.
Optimist was Southside, and Paradise was Southside. I mean, I think, somebody asked me today for an interview, what's your legacy when you leave the city? I said, I want to leave the city the way it was when I was a child. When I was a kid growing up in Easton, you walked all 4.5 square miles. They don't do that anymore.
And the dichotomy of it is that you see now, churches are now
Outside the city.
outside the city.
Yeah.
Schools are no more neighborhood schools. They all the economy stuff.
But so,
Yeah.
like,
point.
I think the single phrase that kills progression more than anything else is how I did it when I was young, how we did it back in the
I
day.
understand. I don't like
We're-
saying that.
But my point is,
But the fact is, my childhood, if I could get every kid a childhood like I had in this city, I would be very, very happy. And I haven't done that, and I don't think it can be done because of various reasons.
and right, not because of
Not because of not trying, and not because of not wanting to,
but I
but
also
because
argue that, maybe my childhood in the 80s and 90s was better than yours. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Maybe ours was better.
what was wrong? I was in the 70s. I mean, come on.
Well, I kind of think I like.
You know what I mean? I think it's
Yeah.
all purpose.
It's-
and I don't think we'll ever
Yeah,
get
well,
back there.
could you
It's-
hitchhike?
Did I hitchhike? No, we walked.
No, I hitchhiked I went to Notre Dame, so when I had basketball practice, I went out on the highway and I hitchhiked. No one would do that anymore.
I kind of think,
Give me a hitchhike.
Mayor, I kind of think the people today, and I tell this to my grandchildren all the time, You guys
I-
play in the back of the house all the
I
time.
think-
When we used to play in the front of the house.
Yep.
I
That's
think
true.
that there are ways too that we can take a look at our pools and see how we can enhance the revenue stream coming into those pools because, you know, we really haven't done that. And, you know, we have facilities, we use them, but we may not use them to their maximum
I agree.
capacity.
Well,
No
that
more
was my,
dipping
but that was
dance,
my
nothing.
point. He's gonna laugh at me. I said the spitballing. I'm not saying close them. I'm saying we got to look at them. To say that we're losing money, but oh well, we're losing money is a disservice to the residents. We need to look at it and see why we're losing 100,000.
But we lose money on police, we lose money on fire. That's what real estate taxes do.
Yeah.
You pay real estate taxes because you live in the city. I don't think pools are I believe in user fees, but I don't believe that the pools are user fees. Pools have historically become part of what a municipality should be doing for their youth and adults. And so I look at it differently. I don't look at pools as being a luxury and I don't look
Right.
at fire and police as being a luxury. That's part of what you pay real estate taxes. I will never use a pool. I'm very fortunate. I bought a house that has an in-the-ground pool, so I won't use the pools. But I don't even use my own.
But we can't compare fire and police to swimming pools.
Why
That's
can't
like
you?
oranges and car batteries.
Why can't you?
Because you're not going to die
It's
without
public
a pool.
safety down at the pool.
Yeah, but
What do you mean you're not going to die without a pool? If you don't learn how to swim, you're going to die.
you know what I mean. You know, I need fire. I need police. I don't need a pool. And I'm not saying cut a pool. I grew up at Eddyside. I grew up at Ohio. What I'm saying is we need to take a
But I
look
mean,
at
the
it.
townships have volunteer fire departments. They don't have departments that they pay.
Understood.
You know, so do we need to pay a department? You know,
You know my answer to that one.
I agree with paying it, but again,
I would
protecting
agree
a life
also,
in a
but
fire
I'm
and
just
having
saying.
a kid frolic in a pool, two totally different things. And I'm not saying close a pool. I'm saying it needs to be looked at.
I agree.
Well, we can look at it. We should look at it. Mr. Councilman Pittibone wants to look at pools. So we'll look at pools and how we can enhance
Well,
them.
part of the stamp program is going.
We'll
to
look
be-
at all of it.
It's going to have all of your input, so you could give this input, your individual inputs, to the consultants. Like, you know, like what are your concerns? What are your issues? Obviously, this is one to Frank. So, you know, and it's one also to Dr. Ruggles. So you guys have, you know, the way you're viewing it. So these are some of the things that you can talk to the consultant as we look at the next like 5 years and we do this financial plan.
And very honestly, the early intervention plan, the two stumbling blocks became the fire and the pools. And the recommendations were not accepted by the council or the administration. And Mr. Brown's right. This room would be packed. If you start talking about closing Eddyside or Ohio, you will pack this room if you want to pack the room.
But I would
Like
like,
kids will come in their bathing suits with their inner tubes on.
but I would like to pack the room with ideas on how to increase revenue. I mean, our numbers are down every year. We're going lower and lower and lower. We're on
Because swimming is not as important as it used to be.
Okay.
They don't go to pools.
Okay.
But I think you're right in the sense that you mentioned that the fact that, you know, after COVID, and that's true with so many things, you know, post-COVID is totally different than where we are now.
Understood.
You know, and you know, people got distracted and going off in different directions.
Agreed.
And you know, previously we used to go to the pool every, you know, such and such, you know.
Yeah.
But now, when we were COVID, we started doing this, and that's what we're doing now, you know.
Agreed.
And that is exactly what happens. So I agree with you. I think we need to take a look at the pools and how do we market them so that we can start to get people to come back and be in the pools more. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing we need to do.
I
Yeah.
think there's,
I
I think
agree
there's
with
some
you.
merit to looking.
People-
Any side should be marketed at Forks Township, and that's why I raised the non-resident fees. Forks Township has no pool, so the closest pool to them is Eddyside.
Right.
That's where you should market it.
Which again, I'm fine. I'm not saying I'm not advocating to close it, but to Roger's point, Mr. Councilman Ruggles and myself, numbers are going down. People are doing different things. It's a different time. We swam every day. We walked the
Every
highlight
day.
side every day.
Every day.
They don't do it anymore. So then I don't feel we should operate the same way we have done. So we have to find different ways to operate and to adjust and pivot to meet the demand or what's happening now. We can't operate the same way as we did in '98 when the usage and everything is different in '25. So we have to look at it and find different ways to operate it to make sense with what's happening now.
And I think the other thing that we really do have, and you were talking about life and death, but I think the other thing that we really have to do is to focus on how we might be able to use the pools to teach kids to swim. Because
Yeah, we don't do
I think that, you know,
Third and
the
Fury
high
got rid of
school
the
not
pool.
having a pool anymore, you know, we have kids that are here that, you know,
Aren't
they
swimmers.
got out into the Delaware River, they're gone, you know, and it is a life and death thing, you know, and you know, the fact that if we can get programs, that swimming program that they had
Get Mrs. Albus back.
at Heil last year was incredible in my opinion. You know, there are kids over there that are doing every stroke and are 8 years old.
Right. My granddaughter's been taking lessons at Goldfish since she was 2.
Go-
And I mean, I think that is the thing that you know, teaching kids to swim so that, you know, they don't drown is an important thing.
I mean, that's something to look at as well, holding classes. But we got to do something different because the usage is different, so we need to operate differently. Whatever that looks like, we can't operate the same way we've been operating 30 years ago. So I just want to look at it and figure out better
Right,
ways.
so maybe you and I can brainstorm about.
Sounds good. Okay. Any other questions? We got Dwayne still sitting here for the last hour and a half waiting to give his
That's all right.
presentation.
That's all right. No
Let's
worries.
just give the overview if you want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Dwayne.
Yeah.
You're up.
Go ahead, Dwayne. Don't.
All right, so this is a 2025 budget review. Okay, you go to the next one. All right, so I mean, everybody's familiar with the department structure, right? Director, supervisor, we got still the chief code administrator, planning administrator, zoning administrator, health administrator, and the code officers. Department is staffed of 13. Right now, we're down 1 code officer still. Looking to fill that in the next year. There was no reason to bring someone in the last month of the year, so we're just going to hold off on that. The department has changed in whole in the last year with Steven leaving. Charbel's on his way out. I moved up. We had multiple officers leave, so we have a really young group of officers that are in there now that are going to be getting trained. We have 2 new clerks as well. So that's the rundown so far for the department. Budget highlights the revenue for 2024. Permit fees were up $46,731. Plan review fees were up $35,102. Quality of life tickets were up $5,615, and this is in part to raising the ticket prices in the ordinance recently in April when we did that. Expenses remained within the budget. We did anticipate an internal budget transfer to cover key codes with our inspectors that did have certifications that dropped off and left. That was an increase in key codes inspections, so we had to make some transfers. We still had my position as my budget, so we used that money to cover that transfer. Overall expenses, they did not exceed the budget. So 2025 overview, revenue, permit and planned revenue is going to have a slight decline just because of the amount of developments. We have not as, you know, I mean, there's not that much more to develop within the city that are going to be big.
I think city council should be aware that our next 5 years, we don't see much in the way of building permit fees. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's been built out. Now, we have a couple projects that are, people that are still interested in doing projects. We have that one on the zoning hearing board on Monday night for 4th Street. And that's the block between Northampton and Spring Garden. And that vacant lot there, they want to put a 6-story?
Mm-hmm.
Six-story building there. So we're gonna have the same issues that we had up on 6th Street with the A&R property, so.
Yeah,
Well, one of the advantages that we do have in that realm, though, is Lafayette,
Yeah.
because they'll continually be building. I mean, they're about ready to go into a new capital campaign.
Right.
That means new buildings.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, they've,
It's a done deal.
yeah, they did a lot last year and the year before as far as redoing buildings and building.
But
signs.
they just continually keep upgrading.
Yeah, that's why I only decreased, it was only a slight decline in what we budgeted last year. As far as the residential rental permits, they will increase. We're gonna have about a little over 750 units coming online next year. Between Sixth Street project, we're gonna have 40. The Watermark Phase 2 will have 75. The Marquee, when it comes on, is gonna be 264.
I just, real quick question, backing up to the 750 coming online. How does that impact your rental inspections? Because
Well,
I know that you do different sections of the city, but now all of a sudden, boom, you know.
It'll just increase. The workload for some of the people will increase. I mean, maybe we won't hit that 2-3 year mark. Maybe it'll be pushed back 6 months, 7 months until they have their initial inspection.
Okay.
I think the question is, I mean, Roger, you put this up earlier on, I believe, in the budget hearings, that we need to keep an eye on that because of the fact that as they do come online, that may mean opportunities for us to look at hiring more staff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, you know, as we get more and more rental units and we have this rental inspection,
Yep.
we need to keep up with it.
And we'll get to the point where we'll have to, and I want to talk with Louis going further for the next year on restructuring how the department and as far as inspectors are set up, so that we did lose people to Bethlehem for a $3,000 raise. So it's not, you know, I mean.
Sure.
So I want to make it at least competitive and be able to, so looking at how Bethlehem does some of their rental licensing, they actually charge a registration fee and then an inspection fee when you go. So out of all their units, they're not double hitting them, but it's a registration fee and then you pay for your inspection fee. Right now, the city requires a $75 registration fee. That covers the inspection and the reinspection. And that's kind of low compared to other municipalities. So I think that can be bumped up, and that will alleviate us. that will alleviate us to be able to bring on maybe 1 or 2 other rental officers. Because I want to break it down just so people are just doing rentals and buyers, and we have just code enforcement officers that are out just doing code, exterior code officer work.
Dwayne, your plan is to do each neighborhood inspection every 2 years?
Well, right now the ordinance says that every rental registration should be inspected within 4 years. But with the amount of people we have, we're trying to get it to where it's
But
every
you're
2
trying to
years.
get it every 2, right?
Yeah, but what happens is if people leave, now you got to bring in
Right.
new people.
But I mean,
in,
that's
train them.
your goal.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
it every
yeah,
2.
yeah.
Dwayne, how do you handle the authorities as far as like the Eastern Housing Authority? Are you expecting them to?
Yes.
I know they have 2 inspections. They have the city inspection and they have the federal inspection.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, we go through and have our own inspections with it. Yep.
Is that part of the rental? Like every 2 years,
Yep.
you want to get it?
Well,
on
yeah, if they're in that area, like if we're in the downtown and they're scheduled to go through, we typically don't just send one person. We send a team of maybe 2 or 3, just so it can all be done within a day or 2.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, if you send one person, they'll be there all week, you know, going through all the units. All right, so expenses, increase in contracted maintenance to aid in combating blight and vacant properties.
But how's that? Trying to phrase it right. How is that an expense? Because isn't that something that if we go out and do it, whatever we get charged? I mean, I just saw in the 285 fees, whatever we get charged, we just
Yes,
pass
our
it on, right?
yes, our
It's not an expense. I mean, it's not something that
but we
comes out of our funds. It's something that's a kind of a pass through, right?
Yeah, almost, yeah. But we got to recoup that lien though. You know, we don't know how long that's going to take to get that lien back.
Well, that's Mark's job.
Yeah, well,
It's Brian's job.
so
Second.
yeah, Port Knox
That's
job.
just a solicitor.
Would that go to Port Knox then, the lien? Okay. Other expenses, just regular contractual increases with AFSCME. So Key Code's budgeted we lowered it due to the decrease in volume of large construction, right? So the only reason why it increased was because we lost UCC inspectors. So we decreased that for the next year. And that's it. I mean, if you guys have any other questions.
Is there money budgeted for the planning, the comprehensive plan?
Mayor,
We're gonna look for a grant.
well, yeah, last time a grant paid for that. It's way into the six-figure type of expense, and that's something that's coming up
Yeah.
in which we're gonna start to prepare to apply for grants. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, I mean, we're working with Kingsley and Trevor on trying to find something. We're getting it in the works to get it moving, so,
Okay,
We're
and
still
we
about
wanna
a year
talk
away,
about,
so-
yeah.
we wanna talk about, the zoning code. When's that coming to city council? I guess it's sometime in the first quarter.
Yeah, we're gonna, I sent it to you, I reviewed it with Crystal Rose on Friday, she came through, I also reviewed just my budget overall with her, so she was aware of it.
Because that project, just so city council knows, my intent is to stop the mid-rise and high-rises in downtown neighborhoods. 4th Street, where this 6-story building is being proposed, is a neighborhood of 3-story buildings. Unlike Northampton Street, which is a business district. So we remapped the business and entertainment district, and that will allow 7 stories with no problem. But the neighborhoods, anything out in the downtown district will be from 5th Street to the river will be 3-story. And the only way they can get a 6-story is to go for a variance.
Yep.
But they will know by right they only have 3 stories, not 6 or 7. I think we need to protect I know we need to protect our downtown neighborhood, because we have a lot of people who live downtown. And as much as I get upset with people who talk about the buildings, we've not built on anything other than urban renewal parcels. That parcel where the Marquis is going, what before was a parking garage, was an urban renewal parcel. The urban renewal knocked it down. They knocked down the beautiful Drake building, the Gruben Betts building. They knocked down the Elks building. They knocked down a lot of single-family homes, and they knocked down Bennett Court, which was where Pine Street is, where you went back there, and that's where Burcott's Distributing was. I remember only because I was in college at the time and worked at the Redevelopment Authority on the 6th floor of the Drake building. So I want to get that on the agenda. So we got to schedule that for first quarter.
Okay.
January, February, March. Any questions for Mr. Tillman?
No, I don't. Good job, Dwayne. I do have a question. Kind of, Coat. Bravo.
Mhm.
I talked to you about it on Monday when
Yep.
we met.
Yes.
The lights are on. Then he shuts the lights off. It's pitch black. Like I don't know. I don't want to.
The whole parking lot's a mess.
Right.
The whole parking lot.
But when it's pitch
potholes
black, I mean,
and
it's dangerous.
tractor trailers, everything
I
else.
didn't get a chance to reach out to him yet today.
But I mean, we reached out to him a lot. So I wonder, like, what we reach out a lot. He fixes it, and then it goes back.
So I don't know what the issue is as far as him shutting them off. Like, do you know in fact that it's a timer, or I mean,
when we called him a couple months ago, he said the timer was backwards or something, and he fixed it. But now it's off again for the last 2 weeks. It's very dangerous over there. So that's why and I know you're doing your job. My point is that what do we, you know what I mean? Like every couple months they just let it go, and we got to fight him again and get it back on. What do we do in that case?
I mean, the only next step is to cite him, but that's a whole process in itself. You end up going to the magistrate, and then by that time he fixed the lights.
Right.
Magistrate will say, "Oh, you fixed the lights."
He'll get them on, so we don't go to magistrate, and then 2 months later they'll go off again, and right before magistrate they'll get them on.
Yeah.
Let me- we can talk about that. Why don't tomorrow then, under new business or old business, we go over then the final changes, because there's some, Dr. Ruggles, you brought up some things that we looked into the budget, and it did bring up, additional revenues, even from 24, like you had brought up in the what was it, sewer, in trash fees, et cetera. So we were able to recoup some monies there. But then again, there were some other additional expenses that were put into the budget. So right now, we still have a balanced budget. We have to take into consideration some of Frank's changes, which are not going to really change anything per se from a budget standpoint. And the mayor had said some things, so we just want to take a look at it. So why don't tomorrow, under old business, we pause and then go through this document? Because then,
And you and Mark and I should meet tomorrow to go over the parking fees.
but we have to introduce the budget tomorrow.
Handicap real quick so you guys can talk about that too.
Mayor, we have to introduce the budget tomorrow.
I know,
Okay.
I know.
That's
So-
right, you're gonna do it in the morning.
And
So-
just
so
for
we're- you
council
should-
members who are here, since we're missing two, but I need to know when you would like to have a special meeting, because we have to have a meeting. We don't introduce it tomorrow. We approve the budget.
We vote on it.
We vote on it.
Yeah, we vote on it.
Charter says we have to vote on it before
So-
December 15th.
Well, before you, it's the real estate contract that we need a special session on.
Right, on the Raspberry Park.
Raspberry Park, because it's tied to ARPA dollars, so we need to get that executed this year. All right, so that's a special meeting. But on the budget amendment, on the budget itself, so the quote-unquote mayor's budget was introduced, that's on the agenda for tomorrow. But that's not the budget that you want the amended version.
Yeah,
So the amended, it's not substantial. We're talking under like $1 million per se or around there, with all these moving parts. Yeah, and it's a $72 million budget, so it's not substantive. So and it's still a balanced budget. So we're gonna go over those tomorrow with you all.
Tomorrow, you're gonna do that tomorrow?
Yes,
What you and I
because
would-
we still have some outstanding items,
Okay.
and then we can stay here the way they used to do it back in the day.
Oh,
We're
no,
not doing that.
at 12 o'clock at night,
No, we don't. I don't foresee that.
12:30 in the morning.
But we could
God.
we could literally
Yeah.
we could literally it's only one sheet, so we'll balance one sheet. We don't have to balance the
Good
entire
work.
thing.
So let me,
Hey,
so we're gonna go over everything tomorrow. It will be passed, right?
After we go over everything, then council could motion to
To-
amend
to-
the budget.
Amend the budget.
What you would do is move the mayor or council would have to move that line item from where it's at in the agenda
And then amend
to
it
the
over.
end of the agenda.
Gotcha.
That's
I gotcha.
all.
That's what I wanted to know.
So we could then talk about
Yep.
everything
Gotcha.
if you want, or you could do it there.
Tomorrow, we have solicitors in the morning.
Yep.
I have a meeting at 1 o'clock with the realtor on where they wanted to put the truck stop in Williams Township, right on the other side of the border. So I want to meet with him, but I could probably, I have a 10 o'clock meeting tomorrow that I have to get to. So I will only be at the solicitors meeting for an hour or 45 minutes. So maybe we could do it around noon?
Okay. I mean, we'll be here.
Brown bag.
But I need city council to look at their schedules to think about a, budget approval meeting. It won't be a long meeting, it'll only be about 30 minutes.
But it won't be the budget.
It won't be the budget, Mayor.
Tomorrow.
No,
Well,
the,
that Raspberry Street, we'll only put that on.
why don't we do the 18th? If everybody's, never mind. 18th isn't good.
Why don't you? The mayor was suggesting maybe a noon meeting.
Yeah, if we could do a noon meeting, if Mr. Brown can make a noon meeting, we can do it at noon.
I could do a new meeting.
We could do it noon. Then we I don't wanna ruin somebody's holiday nights. They might have, like, we just got invited, city council, and the mayor just got invited to East Area Community Center's holiday gathering. We were invited to the chamber gathering at Time Restaurant, so
Why don't we bring it up tomorrow and ask
Okay.
council?
that's what we did. We talked, so the last time on the agenda is to decide on the special meeting date.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
Got my handicap again?
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, there's one last thing. Handicap parking.
Listen, if you guys could look tomorrow, ordinance 560-51, handicap parking spaces. Right before I came on, I guess you guys passed it to include 5th Street and 6th Street as downtown. I'd like to take 5th Street and 6th Street off. It eliminates or doesn't
Take it off
allow
for what?
out of the ordinance.
At a handicap?
It's considered downtown. So they're not allowing handicap parking spaces anymore. We have residents who are handicapped. I met with Joe Gill and it's ordinance 560-51. It got put in right before I came on. He said, I don't know what month it was.
We never meant, I don't think we ever meant it for Fifth Street.
Well,
6th.
so we have a woman on 6, for example, she's been there. She owned the house for 20-some years. Now she has cancer. She can't walk and she can't get a parking spot. And we won't give her with the documentation. We won't give her handicap parking.
Joe should have come to me with that. We would never. That's a neighborhood.
Could we amend, all right, can we look at that ordinance, Frank, you and I sit down and just amend it, and then,
Yeah, well, that's why I gave it to you guys to look at tomorrow if
Okay.
you want. When you
but,
56051.
okay, right, I think it's something, it's a small amendment, a small,
Right.
but a big discussion.
We
personally.
don't have any handicap spaces up there. Downtown, we have handicap spaces.
Correct.
That's why we eliminated it, and we have, you were getting everybody coming in,
What?
because when Saliha got hers,
Right.
everybody wanted to come in and get a and you go to their primary care doctor, and of course he gives everybody a letter saying they're handicapped.
I agree, and that's why I don't want to go. I'm not bringing it all the way downtown. I just feel 6th and 5th shouldn't be included in that.
And that's I agree with it.
Yeah,
So let's,
that's
Frank,
all.
let's amend that, we'll redline it, submit it to council for discussion and,
Well, and that's why I told you. I want you guys to look at it tomorrow morning. when we
Okay.
meet. So then let me.
well, I don't think the edits,
Well, we can
Substantive.
put it, if we put it in chapter 285 as part of our, budget, it gets approved as of January 1.
all right, then we'll look at it tomorrow.
That's
we'll
why
look
I
at
wanted
it
to bring it
tomorrow.
up. Yeah. Thank you.
You got it anyway, Frank.
Say it again.
You got it anyway.
Thank you. No thanks to Lewis.
I'm very excited. I've been trying to get them for the last 5 or 7 years, and I'm glad they're coming to the Valley. I think it's a good addition to have competition. And
Who's the team?
Service Electric.
Alright.
So this will be 3 choices that the residents will have, and they can go with the best
Because
one.
Stroudsburg's all New York now. That's the north end.
Especially the Xfinity. We've been trying to